Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back. Today is it. We are going to finish this massive process. It's done. We finished it. And it was a long haul. Clean my glasses right here while I'm talking to you instead of doing like a second take. You know, I'm so professional. But look guys, we did it. The whole shelf from the top of the ceiling all the way down. I've literally gutted every single item on the shelf. I've taken it all off. I've reviewed it all. I've put it all back up, the stuff that belongs, and gotten everything that doesn't belong in the collection, out the door. Everything. Except for one thing. This shelf right here. This is my gaming merchandise shelf. That's figures, statues, and random things. And I'm going to gut the whole shelf right now and start figuring out what makes sense, what's important, and what's not. That's today. Let's finally finish this project. Yes! Okay, so I knew this was going to be a random shelf. I knew, without a doubt, just like the Power Rangers shelf had started to accumulate a bunch of stuff, I knew that this shelf was getting different. Without a doubt. Wiped the whole thing down, that's done, and then on top of that, took everything off, as you just witnessed, and it was a lot of random. I mean, there was stuff on here that I knew as I was taking it off the shelf simply does not belong here anymore. No doubt in my mind. There are some things that may surprise you that are staying, but for the most part, this shelf, it needed this probably worse than almost any other shelf on the entirety, because gaming stuff, when you talk about this kind of thing, often turns out to be knick-knack type of stuff. And some of it's really cool, and some of it might even be kind of rare, and some of it might be important to me on a personal level, but for the most part, a lot of it can just be referred to as simple knick-knack stuff. Let's talk about some of that stuff. Because some of it's going to be tough to figure out whether or not it actually belongs here. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so the first thing I would like to talk about is this thing. This thing I bought back when I very first started getting amiibos, and I do think it's cool. I do think that there's some merit behind this thing. I do think it's really neat in general, and I do think that it looks good on the shelf. But I also think that it's a bit awkward. See, it goes on the shelf, and even if I push it all the way back, it won't go all the way back to the wall because of the brackets. I don't have this problem with some other stuff because some action figures and things of that nature aren't really that big of a deal when you talk about this thing. Now I could easily push this thing all the way over to the side right here and put it as far over as it'll possibly go. And then maybe start with a basis like this. But I may have another idea. I'm thinking about taking this green part off and building these blocks, just putting them down and pushing them all the way back and getting them on here and creating layers. I'm hoping that when I do this, I can get the amiibos on the shelf, and that the amiibos, the ones that I care for, can then be put to where very much I'll have things like this, and then I'll have things like this. And so an amiibo standing here and an amiibo standing here will still take up the same amount of space, but still be very displayable and be neat in general. And that's what I think I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to set that up and get rid of this green piece that's down here And then we'll see what amiibos actually make the cut, if I can make this work. Okay, so this is what I've come up with so far. And yeah, it's not perfect, but I figured this is one of the best layouts that I'm going to get. So I now need to start figuring out where I'm going to put certain amiibos. These are duplicates, so when it comes right down to it, I only need one. He'll go right here. He'll move to the side because he's not going up there any longer. And then, of course, a Mario... No, you know what? I have another... There. I have this here and this here, and that seems good to me. And then, of course, an actual normal Mario that stands in the front, and that's pretty cool. And then I'm going to try to decide my favorite amiibos that actually go up top. And so the ones that I think are just crafted very, very, very well. I think that Peach looks fantastic. I actually think that that one is a very, very fine sculpt. He's good enough to be a legit Final Fantasy character. However, I'm going to not put him up there until I absolutely know that he should go up there, because I have two Final Fantasies character things that could well go with him better. So let's put Mega Man up at the top, because these are two things that represent me quite well. You know that I use Peach in games that I play, and you know that my name is literally taken from ReploidBill. And then, I'm not 100% sure, you know what? I think maybe it makes a lot of sense. I'll put Boxing right up there, Little Mac. He'll go up at the top there like that. I'll put her there because I think she's fantastic. I'll put her there because I think she's fantastic. Him there because he's really cool in general. I got a really cool right here. Let's see. This, absolutely. Really cool. Oh, fantastic, without a doubt. And then, oh man, she would have made more sense up here actually. So we're going to move that there. Take this. Oh my, we're moving stuff around and people are falling over. But that's going to be part of this whole situation as well anyway. So, I don't know who else to put. You know what? There's another Peach. It probably doesn't make sense, but it doesn't have to make sense. This is my little display thing. And there, a bunch of amiibos right there. And this dude's a kicking. And this is where I run into a little bit of trouble because I still got these left. I don't need two Bowsers, so that one's easily fixable. I think he's sculpted a little better, but he's a little bigger, a little more menacing. Like I said, this is a duplicate, so we're not going to worry about that at all. And then we have Luigi planking or whatever. Now, I would like to get all of these in the display right here. So maybe I just stuff them in here the best I can get them. But it really does come down to being the same problem that I just got away from. And that's that now there's just a bunch of guys standing in front of each other, and the idea was to create very much a display. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the ones that I think are the most fantastic sculpts out of everything you see here. The ones that I feel represent me, the ones that I feel just look the best, and they're going to stay here. And the others I'm probably going to find spots for them down on my gaming shelf in the living room, because that makes a lot of sense to me. Some of these guys, and then it also puts them in easy access for when I'm playing and I need an amiibo for some weird gimmicky thing. But I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I've just made up my mind. I think that's exactly how I'm going to handle this. So my favorite sculpts are going to go here, and then after that, everything else is going to go downstairs on that shelf. So I guess that's my next step, is to figure out what actually stays, what are the best sculpts in my opinion. So next I made the decision that I thought it made a lot of sense to make kind of a Mario display right here. And then I also wanted to keep this Link because it's really solid, and I have two figures under here that are also really cool. And then I have Sackboy, which has literally been on the shelf for so many years now. I feel almost compelled to keep him. I also am going to add a slime right here. He fits there for right now, and I'll figure out if he has a better spot later. And there's still more stuff to add. There's a lot of stuff that came off this shelf, like a lot of stuff. So next, I want to talk about these two guys. These are really cool. This is both a Mega Man and Zero for Mega Man X. And for the longest time, I thought they were pretty much guaranteed spots up here. But the more I'm thinking about it, I only have so much space for this stuff. And I don't 100% know what I really want up here and what I don't want up here. It's just the way it is. But a lot of this stuff is small, and if I choose to keep it, I can move it down to my video game shelf. And there's space on the video game shelf right now because the video games are going through the exact same process as all of this. A lot of the video game stuff is being dealt with. If it's a bad game and I'm never going to play it again and it has nothing personal to me in the game, it's got to go. I mean, why? Why keep it? Why is it still here? So as I'm getting spots on that shelf opened up, there are spots for more cool trinket things that I can put down there. So I think that these are probably going to go downstairs. And I don't know that this is necessarily 100% yet, but I got to look at some of the other stuff. So here's some more stuff along those lines. I have a little pink Mega Man. Cool, but he could sit up here and take up space on my main collection shelf, or I could move him down to all the trinket stuff that makes sense on the game shelf, like this shiny Mega Man, like this little bitty Chun-Li that could sit next to some of the Street Fighter stuff downstairs or whatever, or this Crimson Viper, which could also just go downstairs like that, or this 1-Up Mushroom that, I'm going to actually put that like right there in, yeah. I'm going to do that with the 1-Up Mushroom. I'm going to set it right over there. Yeah, that's fine with me. It's small, so it doesn't take up enough space to like be in the other's way, and it makes sense to me, and that's what I'm going to do with it. So that's cool. That actually worked out. Let's look at some more stuff. So the next wave of stuff I would definitely like to keep up here if I can find space for it, and I think that I can now that I know that some things are going to be gone. I have little Goomba Pin, which I'll find a spot for him. I have little Flying Goomba, which I literally already have a spot for him. I have this pixel art Goomba, which he'll be fine as well. I can literally put him right back there. He's fine. I have Awesome Goomba right here, Awesome Plushy Goomba, which I could set literally next to Koopa and next to Bowser and everything, and he can sit, and Sackboy can be kind of like, he could be back there with Sackboy, and he'll be fine. He's still cool. He's back there. He's a part of everything that's going on. And I have Gaijin Goomba, which, okay, say what you want. Yeah, I guess he kind of doesn't belong, but he's not quite Goomba size. He's a little bit bigger, and he's positioned in a way, because he's got little feet and everything, that I can actually get him to stand behind the Link statue, which isn't too bad, because now he looks like he's kind of popping up over his shoulder, which Gaijin Goomba kind of does. He kind of pops up and talks about things when you're watching his videos. So if I can get him in a stance where he's kind of like that, like where he's coming up behind Bowser, and kind of squish him in there where he's kind of between the pole and everything, that's perfect. I think that's exactly where he's going to go. I know you didn't see me just do that, but when I pan across everything, you'll see where he is. I think he's staying up here. Alright, so let's run the last part of this. Let's talk about everything that's left that's sitting out in front of me. Some of this I definitely want to keep. Some of it is questionable. For one, her, absolutely. This is a very rare piece as far as I'm concerned. I don't come across in the wild, dead or alive stuff. Ayane, I want to keep. She's so cool. I also would really like to keep her. I have it's the only, like, it's a classic Laura Croft thing. And if you've ever seen my video, I miss classic Laura Croft, you'll understand this. I miss this. I don't necessarily miss these games. I'll admit they did not age gracefully, but I really miss this character. I do. She hasn't been the same since they've changed her. Sure, you could argue mechanically and even storyline-wise, in some cases, she's had better games, but in terms of her look, her design, her attitude, there's things that I really miss about her. So I'd really like to keep that. So I'm going to put it back there. And then, oh, some of these are getting tough because I have Gray Fox, and I really like Gray Fox, but he doesn't like to stand up, and he has to have a stand, and so that makes him have to be like this. He has to have that stand, and that can make him hard to display, but I kind of got him right there, and he's doing just fine. Now we're coming across a couple issues here, though. I have Lightning, and she's really solid figure. She's an absolute solid figure, and not one that I actually care to part with. Luckily, she's very small. In terms of, I mean, she's thin. So I can actually get her right back here, even behind Link, actually. And if I really want to, I can actually get her to stand up with Ayane right here. And she'll do just fine there. I also have Cloud. Cloud is an absolutely amazing piece, by far, and I've told a little story about him, but look, years ago I saw Cloud, and at the exact same time Shane saw Cloud, and Shane decided that he could wait, he didn't need Cloud. Well, he passed on Cloud, and I ran up and took Cloud, because I was like, he was too slow. Later on, he was all mad about it, and he was all like, "You bought my Cloud." And I was like, "Look, man, you had your chance, and if you weren't going to buy him, you damn well believe I was going to buy him. I've always loved Cloud. He's always been one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters, one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, and there was no way I was passing on him. So I really like him. I know I could find a spot for him. I know I can fit him in, and I know he'll work. In fact, that might be about right if I set him up there. And then I'm coming across things that are tough. I have Final Fantasy XII Lady Ashe, and she was one of the only things that I really, really liked from that game. I did. I liked her quite a bit. I liked a couple of other things in that game, but yeah, she really stood out to me. I really liked her quite a bit. I can get her up there. So that puts all three of my Final Fantasy people right up there at about the same spot. That's cool. That puts them all up there. They're all solid. And yeah, I think that honestly, once I get them up there, once I get them standing and everything, I think that I can live with that. I think they're fantastic. He might have to stand with his sword down just to give himself balance, because his sword is incredibly heavy, as should be. And that makes him kind of fall over. So now I got all three of them set up there. They're all three cool, and that's fine. And that's where the little Cloud comes in. So I'll set the little Cloud in front, and I'll put a Barret that I've got, because I've got the newer remake Barret and a smaller little dude, and I've also got two Tifas, which are really cool. I've got an original blocky Tifa, which is really awesome, and then I've got the remake. So I'll put her on one side of Cloud, I'll put him on the other side of Cloud, and I'll put her kind of standing in front, in between Tifa and Cloud, and that'll be cool. And then I'm at the things that are questionable. I have this. I don't think she's going up on the shelf. I think she's really cool. I think she's from World of Warcraft. I think that she fits some of the ideas that I really like. I like fantasy elves. I like fantasy armor. You know I like things like that in general. She's got a cool owl. She's got a bow. But does she deserve to take up space on my gaming shelf? I would say no. I think I'm going to take her downstairs into my second studio. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make her part of the D&D display that I'm slowly building down there. That area is still very much under construction. It's got a lot of stuff going in and coming out of it, but maybe I'll show it off sometime when I'm actually ready, when I think that it's pretty much in presenting order. Next is this. This is Naoto from Persona 4. Persona 4 is my favorite Persona game ever. Another Persona 4 right here. And another Persona 4 right here. These are really cool figures. The problem is, while it is my favorite Persona 4 game, well, sorry, it's my favorite Persona game that they've ever released, is it such a big deal that I intend to keep those characters? I don't know. I am already reaching at max capacity for this shelf, aside from getting a couple things here and there that might fill out some areas. This shelf, because of the nature of this shelf and the size of these things, they are packing in tightly. And while some of this stuff is cool and definitely deserve to stay. In fact, I kept more of it than I ever initially thought that I was going to. I kept a lot more of it than I initially thought I was going to. But that doesn't change the fact that while some of the trinkets and things like that, and some of the amiibos and whatnot are going down to the gaming shelf, like this gaming mug here and this can of E-Tank, which I just think is really awesome, and so I've held on to it for all these years. The Persona guys present a problem. If I keep them, I want to rework whatever's going on over here to keep them, but they're big. They're big pieces, and a lot of this has already taken up big space. The Link is big. Ayane is big. Tomb Raider's Lara Croft is big. Gray Fox is big. All the stuffed guys here, like the Bowser section, is big. And all the amiibos, that takes up space. Now I have some space over on the Ranger shelf. And the Ranger shelf, of course, is only as finalized as it somewhat can be. These parts I'm going to debate probably substantially. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set them back for a while. I'm going to replay Persona 4 and see how I feel. And if it recaptures that magic, if it's not just a cool RPG that I played, if it really sits and really talks to me like it did before, because it really did before. If it still does, if it's still that big of a part of me, then I will 100% put them on the shelf. And it's not like there isn't a spot for them. Maybe not on the gaming shelf, but I still have the random shelf and I still have the space that's sitting there over next to the Rangers that hasn't been touched. But we've also got 4 boxes of stuff, 2 boxes of stuff, because we checked out 2 of the boxes and they're just gaming stuff, that really needs to be gone through because stuff needs to be added to the shelf, whether it be more superhero figures and things like that or whatever. So I'm not running out of space, but if I'm trying to keep this to a point where things go on shelves, that things go on shelves, you get the idea. If I keep the gaming together, if I keep the Rangers together, if I keep the Gundams together, then I am running out of space for certain areas. So, yeah. So that was it. I've gone over everything. I'm not going to put these back on the shelf yet. I'm going to move them to the side. She's definitely going to go downstairs into all the stuff for my D&D stuff. Some of the little stuff that I do plan on keeping, some of the amiibos here and there or whatnot, are definitely going to go down to the gaming shelf because it just makes sense. And for what it's worth, this thing is done. I'll do a pan shot, show you what we did as I talk about the fact that this is done finally. So that's it. Here we are. We're going across our final pan shot, And this project is complete. This is what I decided to keep on the game shelf. These are some of my favorite items that I've collected in terms of gaming. And I'm happy for what it's worth. I'm really happy to be able to set this up and to be able to make it look presentable and things like that, and get it all back up here and have this all in a way that just looks better. It just looks better than it did before. And for what it's worth, I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to back up. We did it. That's the entirety. That's all of it. The project is done. We are done. That's every shelf all the way down has been cleaned, has been gutted. The things that are supposed to stay are staying. The things that are supposed to go are going. We could finally get to some of this other stuff that we've been putting off. There you saw my lights and everything like that. Because we have some stuff to open. Boy, all that is stuff that I've acquired over the course of the year that we never opened. And there's still some stuff coming down here, some stuff that hasn't been opened. And there's still some stuff in that box over there, along with that hasn't been opened. And so, like, this has been a huge project. And I'm very excited to finally have the project done. And I'm happy to just be done with the project. Let me click that real quick. Guys, this has been crazy. And it was so good to have this done by the end of the year. This isn't exactly my end of the year discussion video. That'll be a different thing. I think that may end up being my next video if I don't unbox something next. I don't know yet. But wow, this has been a crazy project. And there have been some massive changes to the room as I have done this. This is going to be an interesting end of year as compared to the last one that I did. But guys, I can finally say this is done, and I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.